And this is why there hasn't been any videos from me lately, is because the Pacific Northwest gets zero fucking sunlight. Zero. I mean, it's 2 in the afternoon right now. This is all I get. This is it. Fuck it. Just so we don't lose what little sunlight we have, I'm just gonna jump right into it. This is gonna be my December wrap up. And the first thing I finished in the month of December was the entire Loom Saga by Elise Kova, which consists of the first book, The Alchemist of Loom, the second book, The Dragons of Nova, and the third book, The Rebels of Gold. I really enjoyed these books. I gave the first one 4 stars. The second one, which was my favorite because it mostly covered the dragons and their culture up on the floating islands of Nova, and they were great. So this is a 5 stars, and then the final book was a 4 star. So these books kind of suffered from the same thing that her Airwaken series suffered from. The first 4 books were amazing, and then the final book, it was just better wrap all this up nice and neat, and it's everything you expected, and there's no twists, no nothing, just here's everything I promised in a neat little package, and have a nice day. You know, I love her writing and always gonna buy everything she puts out, but it's definitely something these books could work on. Next, in the month of December, I read How to Blow It with a Billionaire, which is the second installment in the Arden St. Ives trilogy. I'm just trash for Alexis Hall. Anything Alexis Hall puts out, I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna love it because I love Alexis Hall. So in these books, we follow Arden St. Ives as he graduates Oxford and falls in love with a billionaire. Essentially, it's an LGBTQ, well-written version of 50 Shades of Grey. And they're wonderful. Cliffhanger. The book ended on a super cliffhanger. I think the third and final book in the Arden St. Ives trilogy will be out this year. Sometime this year. And then, after I finished those 4, I'm just gonna say that it turned into the month of Lauren. If you've never watched Lauren's videos, you should go check her out. She's awesome. The Novel Lush. I will leave a link to her channel down below. But in one of my older videos, she pointed out a book I had on my shelf she really liked, and she was like, oh my gosh, have you read that? And I was like, no, I haven't, but since you're talking to me, I'll read it because I own it. So I did, and that was Once Burned by Janine Frost, which then turned into me finishing in one sitting and reading Twice Tempted the next day, and then Bound by Flames. And then the 4th one in the series is Into the Fire, which I actually think Lauren sent to me because I binged these. I think I finished the entire 4-book series in 2 or 3 days. So good. Oh, I mean, just don't pay attention to the ugly, stupid Fabio covers. Like, I know the covers make it impossible to take these books seriously, but just ignore them. Just ignore them. You don't look at that. Don't look at them. Just, so good. So good. And then, because these were amazing, and then I was talking with Lauren, and she was like, well, you need to read the Night Hunter series because this is a spin-off series that stemmed from the Night Huntress series. So then Lauren is amazing, and she sent me all 7 books in the Night Huntress series, which I read 1 through 5 so far. I'm halfway through 6 right now, so I will definitely be finishing off the series in January, but yeah, they're so good. So book 1 in the series is Halfway to the Grave, which I gave 4 stars. The second one is One Foot in the Grave, which I also gave 4 stars. The third book in this series is At Grave's End, which I gave 5 stars. Book 4 is Destined for an Early Grave, which I also gave 4 stars. And then This Side of the Grave, Book 5 in the Night Hunter series, and I also gave it 4 stars. Once I finished Book 5, I realized that I had messed up yet. Like, this whole series, I read it so out of order. Because I started with The Night Prince, which technically that 4-book series, I think you read 1, 2, and 3 of The Night Huntress, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then between 4 and 5, you start the Night Prince series. So I've messed it all up, and really honestly, it doesn't affect it too much. There are spoilery things in the Night Prince that'll ruin some stuff about Cat and Bone stories in the Night Huntress, but it's not that bad. So you can honestly read it in any order that you want. But once I finished 5 in the Night Huntress, I went back and read book 3.5, which is another spin-off called The First Drop of Crimson. Is Cat's best friend Denise's spin-off story, and I gave that 5 stars. Then I also read 3.6, which is another spin-off story called The Eternal Kiss of Darkness, and I gave it 4 stars. So after I did that, I read 1 through 5. I messed everything up. So all I have left in the Night Hunter series is books 6 and 7, and I'm halfway through 6, but halfway through 6 I just kind of needed to cool my jets on the Night Huntress business for a minute, because that was, how many books was that? That was 12 books in the Night Huntress world that I read straight. So I needed a little bit of a break from the Night Huntress, but I will finish book 6 and 7 in January. The last book that I finished in the month of December was The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. So this was also a Christmas gift from Lauren, and it was everything I never knew I wanted in a fantasy book. It had the romance, it was just really new. It's a Middle Eastern set fantasy novel, and I have hardly ever come across those. So it was really refreshing, and I loved it. The book starts out in Napoleon-occupied Cairo, and then we follow our main character, Navarre, as she accidentally summons a djinn who sweeps her off to the magical city of Daybawad. And oh my god, it's so good. So good. If you haven't read this, you need to pick it up. The next book in the trilogy comes out this year, and I cannot wait. 5 out of 5 stars. Actually, one more thing, and I also finished my reread of the Red Rising saga. I love these books. You guys know I love these books. Iron Gold will be out in 11 days, and I needed to get my reread done, so I was ready for Iron Gold, and I am ready. My body is ready. Give it to me. Those were the 17 books that I read in the month of December, and I'm pretty proud of myself. The only thing I read from my December TBR that I said I was going to read was the Loom Saga. But hey, I read something from my TBR. I think from now on I'll make my TBRs only 2 or 3 books. That way I have a lot more room for whatever I feel like reading, because I'm a mood reader. I'll pick up whatever I want whenever I want to read it. TBRs aren't really for me, but I'll still try to have a TBR with 2 or 3 books on it. That way I have a lot of room to read whatever else I want to read. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. That was everything I read in the month of December. Or the month of Lauren. Yeah, she happened to me, and I could not be more thankful, because everything was so good, and Lauren, you're the best, and I love you. So that's it, guys. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!